First, the exclusive IT-Mate report that prompted IMPD to launch an immediate internal investigation.
IT-Mate's Karen Hensel shows us the video that's already prompting action.
A key portion of the video happens in just 16 seconds. Even more concerning, comparing the video to what the officer says happened before he made arrests that night. We took our findings straight to the top for answers.
An IMPD officer called to a dispute in the lobby of the JW Marriott. The man in the beige shirt is a business owner in town for a convention. The man in the blue shirt, his employee. They're talking to the officer and hotel security. Just 16 seconds after the gray-haired man came into the discussion, with hands behind his back, he's thrown to the ground. It's September 6, 2012. Brian Hudkins, who owns a home theater installation company in Maryland, is in town attending the CEDIA trade show, an event he helped create. He and his employees checked in that day, went out to dinner downtown. When they came back, Hudkins' employee went to his room on the 31st floor, but he couldn't get in his room and heard people inside. Concerned that he was walking in on a theft, he called Hudkins, and the two went to hotel management. Scott Barnhart is Hudkins' attorney.
I think it's fair to say that they were upset. So I don't know the volume of the level of the conversation, but I know that they certainly were expressing their displeasure with what was happening.
Hudkins even urged the hotel to call police. There's no audio on the hotel's video.
When the officer showed up, he directed Mr. Hudkins to quiet down. He told him that he would once the issue was resolved. He was trying to resolve the issue in hopes that the police would help him.
But minutes later, Hudkins, handcuffed, is brought out of the hotel under arrest, headed to jail. As he's taken to the squad car, he's thrown to the ground again.
There appears to be no reason for that, right? He was cooperating. He was handcuffed at the time.
This is the police report filed from that night. Officer Michael Wilson writes that he gave Hudkins a warning to lower his voice. Hudkins replied that he did not have to, while sticking his finger in my face. But you can clearly see in the video, Hudkins' hands are behind his back. Then this. Officer Wilson writes he attempted to push Mr. Hudkins backwards and away from the situation, but Hudkins was able to forcibly push backwards. He is pushed to the ground.
Your officer was on scene for 16 seconds. The guy had his hands behind his back.
Okay.
You want to see that again?
Sure.
IT-Mate took the video to Police Chief Rick Height.
15 seconds after we were told, in fact, my first inkling is to call my commander in charge of internal investigation and make him aware we have a complaint.
He watched the video for the first time.
Come on, let's take a look at this.
Calling in his top two investigators from Internal Affairs.
Again, the entire time that he was pushed down, this is a 60-year-old man, his hands were behind his back. What your officer wrote versus what the video shows is very different.
I'm not denying what we saw and what we're seeing, but we have a policy and process in which we adjudicate each and every investigation.
Did that look like excessive force to you?
It looks like there was force was used. We will have to get to the bottom of why it was used, under what condition it was used. There was a verbal exchange. I want to hear all that. But I certainly can't be judged by, or ask us to be judged by, what we merely see. We have to go a little further.
The police report alleges Hudkins had been drinking, bloodshot eyes, slurred speech. He denies being drunk. His employee says when he told the officer he was recording all of this on his phone, Officer Wilson told him to stop and get to the floor or he would be tased.
I have to go back, though, and ask you again, when you read what the officer wrote in his police report versus what that video showed, and they're so very different.
Absent of any additional information at this point, you forced me to now request every piece of paper, every document regarding this case for immediate review by Internal Affairs. Immediate review.
As for Brian Hudkins, he spent the night in jail, missed 40% of the convention, and took 2 months to heal from cuts that he got during that incident. He pleaded guilty to the misdemeanor charges he faced, but is now suing the city, alleging battery and defamation. As for Officer Michael Wilson, he was named Community Police Support Officer of the Year in May. We requested his personnel file, but have not received it. Karen Hensel, 24-Hour News 8.